Canada just did something no one saw coming. The quiet neighbor to the north, the one always playing by the rules, just hit back at the United States in a way that's going to change everything about North American trade. Two of America's biggest automakers just lost their special privileges in Canada. And it's not because of some trade dispute or tariff tantrum. It's because they broke a promise, and now the Canadian government is making them pay. Here's what happened. Stellantis and General Motors have been importing vehicles from the United States into Canada without paying tariffs for years. That's a huge advantage in the auto industry. But that deal came with one condition. Keep building cars in Canada. Keep the factories running. Keep Canadian workers employed. They didn't. Instead, both companies quietly scaled back their Canadian manufacturing operations. Production lines that were supposed to stay in Ontario got moved to Illinois. Electric van production in Ingersoll halted. Facilities in Brampton and Windsor that Canada spent over $100 million modernizing abandoned. Ottawa noticed, and Ottawa responded. Starting this month, the Canadian government announced it's cutting the number of American-made vehicles these companies can bring into Canada tariff-free. Stellantis loses half of its duty-free import quota. General Motors faces a 24% reduction. This isn't a symbolic gesture. This is economic warfare, Canadian style. What makes this move so significant is the timing. For years, Canada has absorbed pressure from Trump's America First trade policy. Tariffs on steel, tariffs on aluminum, constant threats about lumber and dairy. The entire Trump trade doctrine has been designed to force companies to choose American manufacturing over everything else. And for a while, it worked. But Canada just showed it can fight back using the exact same playbook. Instead of complaining or negotiating, Ottawa simply changed the rules. Companies that move production south of the border will now pay more to sell north of it. It's precise, it's legal, and it's devastating. This is where the auto industry trade war gets really interesting, because Canada isn't just defending its manufacturing sector. It's rewriting the power dynamic that's defined North American trade for decades. The United States has always been the dominant player, the one setting terms, the one issuing ultimatums. That just changed. Public opinion in Canada is overwhelmingly behind this decision. A recent poll shows 79% of Canadians are worried about the future of the auto industry. 74% believe losing it would devastate the national economy. And here's the most striking number. 67% of Canadians say they would boycott any company that abandons Canadian factories for American ones. That's not just policy support. That's national unity. Workers, unions, business owners, and voters are all aligned. The auto industry isn't just about jobs in Canada. It's about identity. It's about whether the country will keep building things or become a passive trading partner that just imports finished goods. For automakers like Stellantis and General Motors, this creates a massive problem. They moved production to take advantage of Trump's incentives in the United States. Now they're locked out of lucrative Canadian markets unless they pay heavy tariffs. The math doesn't work anymore. The strategy that looked brilliant 6 months ago now looks like a trap. And here's the part Washington didn't see coming. Trump's trade policy was designed to pull manufacturing back to America by any means necessary. Tariffs, tax breaks, political pressure. It worked in many cases, but it also forced allies like Canada to develop their own industrial defense strategies. Ottawa learned how to use trade policy not just for negotiation, but for power projection. This isn't just about cars anymore. It's about critical minerals, energy resources, and supply chains that the United States desperately needs. Canada controls refining capacity for materials essential to semiconductors, batteries, and defense systems. After China restricted exports of germanium, Canadian refineries became irreplaceable. American companies now depend on Canadian infrastructure to turn raw materials into usable products. The irony is perfect. Trump's America First policy was supposed to make the United States less dependent on foreign nations. Instead, it's made America more dependent on Canada. Washington can still threaten tariffs, but it can no longer dictate terms, because the leverage has shifted. What started as a quiet trade exemption for 2 automakers has turned into a declaration of independence. Canada is no longer asking for permission. It's setting conditions. And the balance of power in North American trade just shifted north. The auto industry trade war isn't over. But for the first time in years, Canada isn't playing defense. It's rewriting the rules. And that changes everything.